Yo, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Sports Machine here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. It's hot Tuesday morning in Arizona, and Kevin is disagreeing. Why are you disagreeing? Is it not beautiful here?
It's ugly. It's hot. It's disgusting. It's dry. I want to go somewhere else.
I cannot necessarily disagree with you. I cannot necessarily. It is like really humid. I don't know why it's like really humid in my house. I don't know why it's so humid in here, but I think that should be only outside. So, Kev, I can come to your house. I can come move in.
So I just can't allow you to come inside.
Why?
You know the reasons.
No, but we have to let the people know. Why are the reasons?
No, but you know the reasons.
But everybody else doesn't know the reason.
They don't got no other reasons. I think it's pretty much self-explanatory.
All right. So let's get let's get this show on the road. As every day, man, it's the first segment of the show. Go over the top news, top stories of the day, and the first segment called Something That You Want. Breaking news this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Re-signs with 3 years, $150.3 million. Kev, the Cavs fan, I'm going to start with you. How are you feeling about it?
I'm not gonna go lie. You cut off the whole entire time, and then when you went to the Cavs, the $150 million. That's when you came back onto the stream.
Oh, why is it doing this early already?
But I do like the re-signing. I mean, I pretty much already knew that he was going to resign ever since he had was interested in re-signing back with us like a week or two ago. So I'm not surprised that we brought him back. But now the plan is, I think, isn't Garland's agent also um, Rich Paul?
That I actually do not know. That's
I
a good
think
question. I can
I
find
think
out.
he is with Clutch Sports. I'm not too entirely sure, but Garland did kind of like I'm not sure if it was Garland or his agent, but they didn't make it seem like if we brought back Mitchell, then Garland was gonna be out of there. So we're looking. I mean, from the Mitchell resigning point, I like it. I think it solidifies as we want to build around Mitchell, and then if we're willing to trade Garland and other pieces to bring in other guys that Mitchell wants to play with to contend. I think it's a move that Cleveland is like, you know what, let's move on forward with Mitchell. He's shown what he was capable of doing this past season when Garland and Mobley were out. So I think it's a good resigning, and I feel like if Garland's out, we should make some key trades for Garland.
Yeah, it's a great re-signing just because of how well Donovan Mitchell's been for the how good he's been for the Cavs, and quite frankly, I don't know if there's also too many more options out there and for the Cavs to go get as far as like a superstar you want to have on your team or a number one option. Um, some may say he's a number one option, some may say he's number two in terms of Donovan Mitchell. But again, there's not really too many more options out there on the market for you to go get. But I do like it. 3 years, 150. You keep him for the next few years. So try to go out, try to win a championship, and like you said, and then you did say Clutch Sports. Darius Garland is with Clutch Sports, and I'm reading right here. They said, should Mitchell decide to stay long term, sources briefed on the matter say Garland's representation, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul, would have a conversation with Cavs officials on potentially finding a new home for the one-time All-Star. So look for Donovan Mitchell to possibly get moved. Darius Garland to possibly get moved because of this long-term extension from the Cavs, because obviously that duo hasn't exactly planned out or worked out to be what they thought it was going to be. So there's a good chance the Cavs move on from Darius Garland. Some more NBA news that's just coming down about 11 minutes ago. Free agent center James Wiseman has agreed on a 2-year contract with the Indiana Pacers. Sources tell Adrian Wojnarowski. Kev, is that how do you feel about that signing?
From a backup center standpoint, I feel like it's a good signing for them. It's not a risky signing. It's like you bring him in for the low, and if he produces well, that's an excellent deal that he's on for the Pacers squad, especially with him backing up Miles Turner. You take Turner off the court for a little bit, have him get a little breather. Wiseman comes in, he provides that energy spark off the bench for them. I feel like that'll be good for them. Especially with Tyrese, he's gonna look to get the pick and roll going with Wiseman and the lob threat that Wiseman is. I think it's a good sign. It's a good safe sign for the Pacers.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's experiment, right? You're not paying him too much money. It's not like you're giving him 30, 45, 30, 40, whatever $1 million a year. But you signed him to a 2-year deal. He was a second overall pick. So he's at one point he's had potential. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now James Wiseman is good. Like, he actually turns out to be a good pickup. He can back up Miles Turner. He can be that big off the bench. He can shoot. He can go get his shot. He just has to stay healthy. That's the only problem. That's been the biggest problem with James Wiseman. He's had a lot of potential. He always has, but he has to stay on the court in order to grow that potential. And he just hasn't been on the court enough. So maybe if he can stay healthy, if he can really develop in Indiana, again, become that backup center for Miles Turner. And who knows? He goes out after 2 years, maybe gets traded, becomes a trade, acquires some trade value to him, and maybe goes out and makes a name for himself. So who knows? But again,
I was surprised Phoenix didn't try to make maybe a deal done with him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, but I'll tell you what. So yesterday we had. So I work at a radio station. Obviously, you know that. And so during one of the shows, we had a beat writer for the LA Clippers from the Athletic on. His name is Law Murray. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
And he said something that was kind of interesting. He said the Suns may have, like, the Suns went out and signed Mason Plumlee. It almost seems like there was a reason why they went out and signed Mason Plumlee, but Mason Plumlee specifically, because the Suns may have the best 1-2-3 point center combo in the entire league. All three centers that we have can pass. So obviously playing with Devin Booker, KD, and Bradley Beal, maybe you want that to be the case. It's very interesting. So, and that was the topic of conversation yesterday once he brought that up. Again, I understand why you wouldn't go get him, but I also understand why you would go get him. So, but James Wiseman, that's a good pickup for the Pacers. I think if he's able to get back up Miles Turner and actually maybe possibly learn a little bit from Miles Turner, I think he could be good for not only the Pacers but for James Wiseman as well. Little football news. There's a lot more basketball news. I want to get to a little football news before we get to the rest of the basketball news. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers missed mandatory minicamp, and we didn't get a reason until just yesterday. The real reason why Aaron Rodgers missed mandatory minicamp is because he scheduled a trip to Egypt that he didn't think overlapped with mandatory minicamp. Before I take off, Kev, what is your reaction to this?
Is there did he show literal proof that he was already on that trip to Egypt, or is he just just talking out of his ass?
That's what's been reported. I don't know if he has I don't know if he showed proof.
Because I mean, anyone could just lie about that. I didn't go to my meeting. My bad. I had to water my goldfish. Oh, my bad. I missed training camp. Oh, excuse me. I planned the trip to Egypt 20 years ago that I just forgot about it like now. So I mean, you could lie and get away with it. I mean, if there's no proof that that he was actually planning the trip, and he can just say anything out of his ass just to get away with it. That's just
Again, I'm kind of done. I'm just really done with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, dude, this is something. It's called mandatory for a reason. If you have this trip planned to Egypt, months in advance. Reschedule the trip. Reschedule. Mandatory minicamp is what, 4 days, 5 days. Reschedule the trip to a week later. I mean, you have played 4 snaps with this team. 4. Yes, I understand you went through training camp and OTAs last year, but you have went through 4 snaps with this team, and you go out and have there's also new pieces to this team this year. And you miss mandatory minicamp because you planned a trip to Egypt and couldn't reschedule.
He wanted to go see some pyramids over there.
Yeah, apparently the pyramids he couldn't miss. He just couldn't miss the pyramids. They were going to be gone after mandatory minicamp, so he had to go see them before they disappeared.
I want to go ride some camels too.
Yeah, and again, those camels will never be there. They will only be there in between that mandatory minicamp. They will never be there again. So it doesn't make any sense to me, man. I'm not in the NFL. I don't, but still. The Chargers, Justin Herbert, obviously with after minicamp and OTAs, he said Ladd McConkey, rookie receiver Ladd McConkey, has picked up the offense very, very easily. Now that could be very high praise for a rookie. Does this mean that Ladd McConkey might sneak in there for offensive rookie of the year?
I think it wouldn't surprise people because of what we've seen, what he was able to do at the college level. But I mean, we've seen receivers. Honestly, every player that went from college to the pros, they don't transition that quickly. It's very rare for them to just get the playbook down right away. To just like go from here all the way up to there real quick after training camp. He hasn't even played a single preseason snap yet. So there's really not that much you can do when all you're doing is 7-on-7s and nothing else, like no tackling, nothing. Like if you're just practicing as a team, just getting the playbook down. I mean, of course, it's gonna be a little easier. You're not pressured. You're not covered by a corner all the time, being pressed up at the line of scrimmage. So it's not like you're going at a game speed to where it's gonna be a lot more tricky and difficult for you to understand. Right now it's training camp. It's the off season. You're taking your time to get to the playbook, and it's not like an actual game where it's like loud and the fans are yelling. So, I mean, it's good that he's getting it down, but we just won't know how it's gonna translate into the game until we actually see it, like a snap from the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. Just kind of like the MVP, as a non-quarterback, it's very hard to win Rookie of the Year. It's very hard to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. You have to have a year like Puka Nacua had last year, and Puka Nacua didn't even win Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. CJ Stroud did because of how good CJ Stroud was. So it's hard for a non-quarterback to go out and win, and because of the quarterbacks that are in this year, because of the Caleb Williams and the Drake Mays and the Jaden Daniels and the JJ McCarthy's and the Bo Nix's, there's so many quarterbacks that could possibly break out this year and have a fantastic Rookie of the Year. It's going to be hard for Ladd McConkey to really make a push in that race. But if he does, he does. Obviously, he has Justin Herbert, a veteran quarterback, at the helm, so we'll be able to see what he can do. But it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tough. Last one, another huge one. Boston Celtics star Jason Tatum has agreed on a 5-year, $314 million maximum contract extension, including a player option and a trade kicker. This would be the biggest deal in NBA history. And Jason Tatum will also be the first NBA player to earn $70 million in a season. Kev, what do you think about this humongous deal?
The Celtics just have to be under the cap, because if they still have a single dollar left on that payroll, I don't know what to tell you. All these guys that they brought back, especially Derek White and then now Jason Tatum, and then Jaylen Brown last year got the max as well. Like, where are they getting this money from? Unless they're doing GTA heists and they're doing unlimited money glitch or something like that. Big props to him though. Big props to Tatum. I think that the Celtics wanted to secure back their superstar for the next upcoming years. I think it's smart by them. They know that their championship window isn't going to be forever, so that's why they're bringing back as many of the key guys as they can to win another title or maybe two more. It's just funny to see how over time throughout the entirety of sports, for both football and basketball and other sports as well. Do I sound better now?
Yeah.
It just like the pay raises, it just increases over time, and it's just crazy. Because you talk about this contract like 10 years ago, it was nowhere close to being paid around 50 mil a year.
Yeah, no
So
shot.
so it's crazy that now he's going to be the first to get paid 70 mil. But I'll tell you this though, Luka Doncic on his next contract, he's going to surpass Tatum even more. and we're looking at guys like Ant and Wemby as well in the future. They might get close to 80 mil a season too. So it's just crazy how over time, the contracts are just getting higher and higher. And pretty soon, in the next couple of years, we're gonna see 100 mil a year.
Oh yeah, no, it's going up, and every sport really. I mean, but this is kind of just the biggest one we've seen in terms of basketball NBA contracts, obviously, and then just the Celtics just have the two biggest contracts in NBA history on their team. So yeah, like you said, shout out to Jason Tatum for going out and being able to actually earn that contract. But the Celtics ownership, I think, might be the worst human beings of all time. Because I mean, they're just giving out money. They're giving money to Derek White. They're giving money to Jaylen Brown. They're giving money to Jason Tatum. And it's somebody else has to pay that now. We're gone. We out. And so now somebody else has to pay that because they're selling. They're selling. So not only does a person have to come in and buy the Boston Celtics, but they have to come in, buy the Boston Celtics, and pay these $300 million contracts that they were just given. So, the Celtics ownership is very interesting. But you know what? That's sports, and then that's sports in 2024. So such is life. But that will conclude our first segment of the day. As always, we do every morning something to chew on. I do want to get into this. The big news of the day yesterday. Free agent Klay Thompson plans to join the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year, $50 million deal. Sources tell ESPN. Thompson ends his historic run as part of a multi-team sign and trade that'll also send Josh Green to Charlotte. So that's per Woj. That came out a little bit after we got off the show yesterday. So we weren't able to talk about it. But I did mention that Klay Thompson was expected to go to Dallas. And the Splash Brothers are split up. And Dallas has a new shooter. So Kev, what do you think? What's your reaction to Klay going to Dallas?
I have a lot of things I want to say about this whole thing that went down.
Take off.
Especially with the Dallas, the free agency that they have endured. They lost Derek Jones and now they lost Josh Green. What are those? What do those two guys have in common when you bring up those names?
Derek Jones and Josh Green?
Yes.
Defense.
Exactly. So you give up two defenders where damn well Kyrie and Luka are not playing defense like that, and you're giving all that up for Klay Thompson doesn't play defense no more. So yes, you might get better shooting wise, but you technically don't need shooting if you already have good shooting on your team, and your main weakness in the finals against Boston was defense, and so you give up guys like Derek Jones and Josh Green, and then you bring in what's his name, Marshall,
Najee Marshall.
Yeah, so you bring him in, but is he even gonna get any PT? So I mean. And the lineup that you want to run with Luka, Klay, and Kyrie, who's at the 3, who's at the 2, like who's at the 1? Like it's gonna be a low, challenging to put the rotations in. And I don't know. I don't know what kind of season the Mavericks are having, off season the Mavericks are having. Because if anything, I think they got worse with the letting go of those guys and bringing in Klay Thompson. But as a Cavs fan, I'm happy to say to see that the Warriors' downfall, the dynasty is happening finally. I'm just relieved that this is gonna be the last we're gonna see of Clay and Steph and their dynasty. So I'm happy that the Warriors are no longer gonna be a thorn on anyone's side, especially in the West. I know you're a little happy too. Warriors are no longer going to be a contention for any playoffs or any finals. So
Oh, it's a great feeling.
I might get hate from Warriors fans, but it's a glorious downfall that I've been praying ever since KD joined the Warriors.
Yeah. Well, F the Warriors, first of all. I just want to get that out the way. But Klay to Dallas, and you mentioned it, he doesn't bring the defense that he used to have. And even then, I won't get into it, but he wasn't even that great of a defender back then compared to everybody else in the league. But obviously, you bring in what you would like to think shooting. Klay didn't shoot the ball, very, very well last year. He shot the ball well because he is Klay Thompson. But he shot the ball okay last year. And coming in to Dallas, like you said, and I kind of mentioned it last year. I want to bring it up again because it's like it's an oddity. You don't really see too much in the NBA, but in baseball, you have a designated hitter. A designated hitter, obviously, in 9 is one spot in the 9 players in the actual batting lineup. Depending on who's pitching, right? So you can have if there's a left-handed pitcher, you want a right-handed batter. If there's a right-handed pitcher, you want a left-handed batter. Some guys go out and get 1 DH for both pitchers. Other teams go out and get a left-handed DH for a right-handed pitcher and a left-handed DH for a right-handed batter. And I think that might be what the Mavericks might be doing in terms of basketball. You go out and get Klay Thompson, who's a three-point shooter. A three-point shooter, obviously one of the best shooters of all time. He's a three-point shooter. His defense is nowhere to be found the past few years. Not a good defender at all. But then you go out and get Najee Marshall, who is a defender, a very good defender. But offensively, he's not very good whatsoever. So maybe you get the two for different situations. Typically, you go out and get one guy who could do both. A guy like Mikal Bridges, a guy like KCP, a guy like Drew Holiday. You go out and OG Anunoby. You go out and get a guy who can do both. Maybe that just wasn't an option for them. Because like I said, Klay Thompson can shoot the ball very well, but can't play any defense. Najee Marshall, it's the opposite. He could play a lot of defense, can shoot the ball very well. And then they also haven't done anything much else other than that. I mean, it's, you go out and get Klay Thompson, you go and bring Najee Marshall, you lose Josh Green, you lose Derrick Jones. I guess you replace them, but I don't know if you got better. I don't know if you got better in those two, replacing Derrick Jones and Josh Green, because Derrick Jones was very good for you last year, especially in the playoffs. He was very good for you. Josh Green had his moments. Josh Green had his few moments. So again, I don't know if you go out and get better. I mean, I think they still need a bigger wing. I think they need a 4. So again, I mean, I think I like this. I like the signing for Dallas. It's just you don't bring in as much defense as you do as you do with Derrick Jones or Josh Green. Again, I understand you bring in Najee Marshall, but are you going to be starting Najee Marshall? Are you going to start Klay and bring Najee off the bench? Are you going to start Najee and bring Klay off the bench? So again, I'm not sure exactly what Dallas is doing. And again, like you said, I don't know if they got better. In fact, they probably got a little bit worse. So in terms of, does Klay Thompson, give them a real shot to go back to the finals and possibly win the finals? No. Answer straight up no. Klay Thompson does not make them much of a better team, if a better team at all. So that's just how I feel about that signing. There was a lot of signings yesterday. But in terms of Klay Thompson, I do want to ask you this. Do you think the Warriors did Klay Thompson wrong? Do you think they wronged Klay Thompson by not offering him a contract at least high enough? Or I don't know. What do you think, Kev?
I saw this post the other day, and I'm gonna say no. They actually did right by him because for the years that he was out due to injury and the years that he was not available to play, they still paid him a lot of money. They never once traded him. They never once cut him. They always done right by Clay. You know, regardless of when he was injured or when he was playing, they've always paid the man. And so eventually, not now that they're no longer going to be a contender. What's the point of bringing back Clay? What's the point of offering him a contract if he isn't gonna impact your team the way he used to? So if anything, I think it's like we done right by you your whole entire career. So now it's time for us to part ways, and best of luck to you. But they're gonna cherish those memories with Clay. But I think they actually didn't do wrong by him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they did wrong by him. Well, number one is because they offered him a contract at the beginning of last season. They offered him 2 years, 48 mil. It's 24 for 2 years. The contract he just signed is 3 years, 50 mil. Let's do the math. 2 years for 48 mil is $24 million a year. 3 years for 50 million is what?
About 16, 17.
16 about? So that is an $8 million difference because you decided to bet on yourself and you lost. You decided to bet on yourself and you lost. It's just, it is what it is. And it's not like the Warriors hosed you out of anything. They didn't. You were not good this year. You were not good and did not go out on a very good note either. Went 0 for 10 from the field. In the most important game of the season, you went 0 for 10. So, again, that's on you. That is on you. And I'm trying to find there was a report on Klay Thompson and his actions this past season. I'm trying to find I saw it yesterday. But it was a report that was saying like Klay Thompson and his actions behind the scenes last year were just as bad as Draymond Green. Klay Thompson just didn't show it on the floor. So, in terms of Klay Thompson, he didn't get wronged. He didn't get wronged. He didn't play that well. He didn't play well enough to go get another deal. Like you mentioned, Kevin, what am I going to pay this guy for? If he's not going to help me win a championship. What is? There's no point. There's no point. So again, Klay, obviously you all know how I feel about Klay Thompson. I think again, I'll say it again. He's the most overrated player to ever step on an NBA court, and I'll stand by that. I will stand by that. But in terms of Klay Thompson, if he got wronged by the Warriors, he absolutely didn't. They stuck by him for even longer than they probably should have, if we're being completely honest. They stood by him for even longer than they probably should have. So that's Klay Thompson. But I do want to talk about some of the other teams in the West and how quiet it's been. But before that, Kev, who is the biggest winner of free agency so far, and who is the biggest loser? If you need time, I have a biggest loser.
I got the winner, but for the loser, I gotta think about it. I do have a loser, but I'm not sure that they're the biggest loser. But the biggest winner, I already know for sure the biggest winner of free agency is.
You want to go, or you want me to go first?
I'll name the winner. I don't know if you see the same way as I do, but I'm gonna say the OKC Thunder as the biggest winners of free agency. What did they give up for Caruso? They gave up Josh Giddey. Who didn't play well last year. He has the potential to develop his game, but he didn't play well last year. They brought in a guy that you can plug him in, start the two, can offer you a tremendous amount of defense, and can spot the ball, the three ball as well. And all you give was Giddey and what, 2 second-round picks or a second? No, not even any picks actually. It was just straight up Giddey and Caruso. So even that right there, they won the trade by a mile, regardless of the age difference. And then for Hartenstein, why didn't anyone else want him? He played amazing last year. Replacing Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks. He's one of the reasons why they were able to be a top 3 team in the East, number 2 seed, to be exact. He blossomed into an excellent starting role last year at the center position with the Knicks. So I don't know why no one else offered him a deal. Maybe they might have paid him a little bit more than what he should have been getting, but I think it's a good sign for them. And throughout this whole entire offseason, the Thunder didn't have to give up any picks. And if anything, they got better. They still kept the draft picks, everyone in the league knows they have like 20 draft picks on their roster. So I think they won the free agency, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, OKC's done a hell of a job in free agency and during this offseason. Obviously, they don't exactly go get another star, but they keep filling in those role pieces. Like you said, they go out and get Alex Caruso, a 3-and-D guy, one of those guys we were just talking about. One guy who can do both, who can shoot the 3 and play defense at both a high level.
And play make a little bit too.
And he can play make a little bit. Whenever SGA goes off the floor, you still have a point guard who can facilitate, right? And that's what you had in Josh Giddey. So, and then you bring in Isaiah Hartenstein. You bring in a real big. Obviously, Chet Holmgren is 7'1", but he has no meat on him. He has no girth on him. So he's just gonna get bodied, and it's hard for him to really compete with, the Nurkic's of the world and the Jonas Valanciunas of the world, the Steven Adams. Those big guys will eat Chet Holmgren alive. But now you go and get one of those guys who can compete with those guys, the bigger guys. So Thunder they've done a great job in this offseason. The loser of this free agency, I believe, are the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets have been the absolute losers of this free agency and offseason. You lose KCP. Right? You lose KCP, who was an instrumental piece in not only your success last year, but especially in the success they had on the road to their first NBA championship. KCP was immensely important. You lose KCP to Orlando. You lose you already lost Bruce Brown last year. And I was telling you, Kev, we hadn't started the podcast yet, but I was telling you, Kev, Bruce Brown is going to be a huge loss for them. A huge loss. And he was a huge loss for them. You get off Reggie Jackson's contract. So the Nuggets have not done very much to get better. In fact, they've gotten a lot worse. Obviously, you still have the 3-time MVP in Jokic. You still have Jamal Murray. You still have Michael Porter Jr. So you still have guys from that championship team that are good enough to make, maybe a small run in the playoffs. But you need the guys, the glue guys, the hustle guys, the guys that are gonna go get the 50-50 balls. Right? You have Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson is a very good defender. Can't shoot the ball late. Can't shoot the ball. So you have guys that you may be able to develop, but with the team you have right now, you don't exactly want to develop those guys while you're going to win a championship, because that is not a very good process for success. So again, Denver has not done very much this offseason, which may be a good thing for me as a Suns fan. I'm not exactly complaining, but those are the biggest that's the biggest loser, I believe, in free agency so far. The biggest winner, I would either have to say it's between 3. It's between OKC, it's between Philly, and it's between New York. I would probably have to go New York. I'd probably have to go New York as the biggest winners right now in the offseason / free agency. You bring in Mikal Bridges, who is, again, one of the best, if not the best 3-and-D guy in this league. You bring back OG Anunoby, who's another great 3-and-D guy. And then you still have Jalen Brunson. You still have Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, OG. Like, you still have so many guys that you're about 7 or 8 deep at the very least, 7 or 8 deep. And if you have 8 guys who can go out and have an impact, when you go into the playoffs, you will be set. You are set to make the long playoff run. So I'd probably go the Knicks with my winners in free agency right now. Philly, I think, is a close second. Obviously, go on to get Paul George, bringing in Eric Gordon to throw him off the bench, bringing back Kelly Oubre, bringing in Andre Drummond to back up Joel Embiid. The only problem with that team is health. If they're healthy, they will be successful, but they have to be healthy, and that's a huge if. That is a huge if they can stay healthy. So I would go Knicks first. I'd go Philly second, a close second, and then I'd go OKC third. But Kev, what do you think? What do you think about the Nuggets being the losers of free agency?
I didn't think about Nuggets because they did lose KCP, and he is a big loss to that squad. I think they did get a little worse, but I think they're still looking to maybe make another move or so to bring in someone to hopefully replace KCP. But the two teams that you didn't mention for the biggest losers is one is the Heat. A lot of talks where Donovan Mitchell, other superstars coming over to Miami to to help contend win a title. Now, unless for somehow they can manage to make a move for Steph, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Golden State might want to keep Steph for until he retires. But if Golden State decides to blow it up and send him to Miami, then that's gonna be a big win for them. But other than that, bro, like they haven't made any single moves in the free agency. Not that I can think of on top of my head. Any key beneficial moves. So I think they're one of the biggest losers. Another team is the Lakers. A lot of talk was DeMar going over there, Klay possibly going over there, Mitchell probably getting traded over there, guys like Trae Young or DeJounte Murray going over there. So a lot of talks where the LA trying to make some moves to help bring in some talent, help them contend in the West, and we haven't heard anything. They've been really quiet in the offseason, especially the Lakers where a lot of superstars want to go play. It's nicer in LA, and it's one of the biggest markets, if not the biggest market in the NBA. And then you have LeBron and AD over there, like, and you have all that, and yet you're not able to bring in any players or trade anyone. So it's for me, I think it's the Heat and the Lakers are one of the biggest losers of free agency.
And I think you can throw Golden State in there too. I think you can throw Golden State in there just because now you lose Klay, which again I don't believe is a huge loss for them. But you haven't done anything to replace him. You haven't done anything to replace him. You bring in DeAnthony Melton, who I like DeAnthony Melton a lot as a player, but he's not going to win you a championship. He's not going to be a difference maker. You still have Andrew Wiggins. You still have Draymond Green. But what are you doing to build around Steph? Steph still has some good years. He is still an all-NBA player. Like, he still has some good years. So what are you doing to build around Steph to go and compete for a championship? I think DeMar DeRozan is going to go to California. I think he's going to play in LA. I think he's going to play for the Clippers. That's just what it is. I think DeMar DeRozan is going to go sign with the Clippers. Now, will he go back to Chicago? He very well might go back to Chicago because of the free agency market. I believe he's going to go play with Kawhi, with James Harden on the Clippers. Now, how well will that work out? If it were to happen, I have no idea. But the Clippers will be right back with the big three going into their new stadium or arena, bringing eyes, drawing attention. So I think that should be on the Clippers. I think DeMar DeRozan should be very high on the Clippers to-do list. I think he could be a good fit over there. I think he'd be a pretty good fit over there. Doesn't shoot the three ball necessarily well, but is one of the best and has been one of the best mid-range shooters in this league for a very long time. And can get to a spot, can get to the rim, and can score the basketball at a very high level. So DeMar DeRozan, I think, will be going to the Clippers. But yeah, I think in terms of the fantasy free agency losers, I think you can definitely throw Miami in there. Definitely throw Golden State in there. Definitely throw the Lakers in there. The Lakers haven't done anything to get better. They have not done a single thing to get better. I mean, you drafted Dalton Connect, who failed at number 17. but you haven't done anything else. You have not done anything else. The biggest story of the Lakers is bringing Bronny in, a 55th overall pick. That's the biggest thing. The Lakers haven't done anything in free agency. I don't think they've signed one person. And LeBron's still a free agent. He's still not technically on the team. So I don't know what the Lakers are doing right now. But
this dude Jesse.
What do you say?
They got Bryant, bro. They went in the finals.
All right. So yeah, the Lakers, I'm not sure what they got going on. But do want to get to some football stuff, man. Obviously, free agency started on Sunday. Haven't talked too much about football. But do want to get into a few things, man. The Patriots are signing linebacker, Jelani Tavai to a 3-year, $15 million extension. I'm not sure if you saw that, Kev.
I did.
You did? What are your initial thoughts on that?
Jamal, do you remember when we went to the Cardinals and Patriots game when Kyler got hurt?
Yeah.
It was a rough night for you, but I did tell you how Jelani Tavai, how he's just everyone on the field. Like he's kind of like what's his name? Not Kiko Alonso. Is it Matt Milano?
Yeah, Matt Milano of Buffalo.
Where everywhere the ball goes, he's just always around the ball, and that's Jelani Tavai right there. He's he can play a coverage, he can pass rush a bit. I think bringing him back was very smart by us. I think our defense was good before Judon and Gonzalez was hurt, but went down with an injury. But Tavai, he provides that hustle. He provides that energy on the defensive side of the ball, like I told you. And if you watch his clips, his the way he plays from the eye test, he's always everywhere. And I feel like bringing him back was a very smart decision by us.
Yeah, I mean, he had a very good year. 110 tackles, 2 picks, a sack. But and like you said, he's all over the place. From sideline to sideline. He's ridiculously fast. And his play recognition is on a ridiculously high level. So his ability to he's a very good tackler. Again, his ability to read the play, recognize it, and again, I don't know if he's the mic. I'm pretty sure. Is he the mic? I'm pretty sure he's the mic. Oh, Juwan Bentley. That's right. Juwan Bentley is the mic. So, but again, his sideline speed is insane. He was all over the place. So I think that's a good signing for the Patriots, or bring a good extension for the Patriots. Again, it's a good deal. You're only giving him $5 million a year, so that doesn't break the bank, but it's in terms of the Patriots defense. There's not really a lot to go on. I mean, you still have guys like Kyle Duggar and Christian Gonzalez. So I was about to call him Carlos Gonzalez, but Christian Gonzalez. So you still have some young players, some young talent. You still have Judon, so you still have some young talent on there. But yeah, so I think that's a good signing for them to bring him back. Definitely want to bring that up, obviously, as a Patriots fan you are. But the NFL came out with an all breakout team in terms of defense. So who, in terms of defensive players that aren't already stars but will be stars, who do you think will have that breakout year this year?
Is there like a whole list, or do you just want me to name a player where I feel like would break out?
If you want, I can name the list. But if you want, you can just name a player. We'll do one offense, one defense.
You want to start with the offense first?
Yes, we could. Yeah, we could do offense first. This list is only defense. So, what do you want to go first? What do you want to? You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
I'll go first. If we do offense, I can already think of someone on top of my head.
Okay, take off.
I'm gonna say Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm gonna say Kyle Pitts is coming out of college. Him being a tight end, he's built like a receiver. Like the way he just moves and the way his ball tendency, his jump ball tendency, and even his route running too. It's one of the best route. He's one of the best tight ends that have the route running down. So they didn't use him as much as they wanted to last season with I believe Arthur Smith, right?
Yeah.
With Arthur Smith as the head coach and just the system that he was running. Even guys like Bijan, there's times when Bijan got taken out the game with only like one or two carries. So he wasn't utilizing his star young players like Pitts and even at times Bijan as well. But I feel like Pitts with the new system, new quarterback, new coach, I think he's gonna have a breakout year at the tight end position this upcoming season.
I got two. My first one is Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was having a very, very good rookie year. Obviously before he got hurt. He was down 20-0 against the Rams, came all the way back. I do believe they ended up losing that game. But Anthony Richardson just showed sparks. He reminds me a lot of Cam Newton. I just think Anthony Richardson can throw the ball a little bit better than Cam Newton. So obviously he can run. He can run. He's very fast.
He's kind of like Josh Allen.
Huh?
Would you say he's kind of like Josh Allen then, or?
Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad comparison either. I think he's a little faster than Josh Allen, if I'm being completely honest. He might be a little faster than Josh Allen. But Anthony Richardson, I think he's gonna have a great year. You still have a great running back in Jonathan Taylor. You have an up-and-coming Michael Pittman at wide receiver who could also have a breakout year this year, along with Anthony Richardson. And then you still have there's some pieces that you still have Quentin Nelson on the offensive line. So that potential for that offense is very high, especially with
Josh Downs too, the other receiver.
The other receiver. Yeah. So especially with Shane Steichen at the helm, Shane Steichen has done a pretty decent job with these Colts since he's got them. And so I'm definitely looking forward to watching Anthony Richardson play. He can definitely have a breakout year. The next guy I got, he's been in the league for a while, but I think he can really take off this year, especially if he has some actually elite quarterback play. That's Najee Harris. Najee Harris can absolutely have a breakout year with having Russell Wilson and Justin Fields at quarterback. Depending on who is actually playing quarterback at the time, Najee Harris has gotten 1,000 yards in the past 3 seasons, I believe. So he's hit that milestone. But he can really take off. Like he can take off. Because he's got the skill to do it. He just does. Now, if the offensive line is a little bit better, they have to be a little bit better. You still have the receivers, you still have George Pickens, who can also have a breakout year. But Najee Harris has the skill to run for 14, 15, 1,600 yards. They just need to give him the opportunity to do it. And Russell Wilson, at his best, what is also the best? The run game, the play action. If you have the ability to run the ball, Russell Wilson is a good quarterback, which means you actually have to run the ball. So when Najee Harris, you give him the ball, you let him work, that opens up the play action for Russell Wilson. So, and if the play action is working for Russell Wilson, that means Najee Harris is having a good game or whatever the case is. So I think Najee Harris can absolutely have a breakout year. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching him. There's also what's the other running back's name? Light skinned dude. What is the running back's name?
Warren, some Warren.
Yeah, Jalen Warren. That's right, Jalen Warren. So that the running game should be pretty good for Pittsburgh. But do you have a defensive breakout star, Mr. Wynn?
I when my camera turned off, I went to go look up these two guys, but they had a pretty decent. That actually had a pretty good season last year. I was gonna name guys like Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau, but they both had double-digit sacks last year. So I can't think of anyone top of my head unless you can give me a few names and maybe you can just, help me out with naming these players.
So this is who they had. This is who NFL.com has. They have on the edge. They have Kayvon Thibodeau. The middle,
The
Huh?
first name was already one of the names I was
Yeah.
thinking about.
Yeah. In the middle, in the interior D line, they had Jalen Carter.
Okay, the
Um,
Eagles.
yes.
Okay.
Keanu Benton, the defensive tackle for the Steelers.
Uh-huh.
Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher for the Packers. Trent Simpson for the Ravens. Devin Lloyd, the linebacker for the Jags. Your boy Christian Gonzalez, obviously the cornerback. Joshua Williams, another corner for the Chiefs. Joey Porter Jr. For the Steelers. Jair Brown for the Niners, who's a safety, and Andre Cisco, who's another safety for the Jags.
Andre Cisco is the name where because I play a bit of Madden as well, and he's one of the best safeties to use in the game because of how fast he is. That's one guy that could break out. I didn't think of my boy Gonzo before he went down with the injury last year, the season-ending injury. He played very impressive. The first 3 weeks, the first 4 weeks before I think he went down against the Cowboys, he had to face up against Week 1 Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Week 2 Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Week 3 against the Jets, he has to face against Garrett Wilson. So a lot of these guys, a lot of these receivers that he had to face against, even CeeDee Lamb, the game that he got hurt too. So a lot of these guys that he faced up against, they didn't technically have the best game. So he was looking like he was going to be one of the top corners in the league as a rookie, looking like he was on his way winning Defensive Rookie of the Year as well. I think he was like second or third in voting or something like that too. Um, in my opinion, I'm glad you brought up his name. I think he might have a breakout year, and I won't be surprised by the end of the season if he's a top 5 corner.
And Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I don't know how old he is. Let me find out how old he is.
Who, Gonzalez?
No, not Gonzalez. Javon Holland, the safety in for Miami. I love Javon Holland. He is all over the place. He can play in the box. He can play coverage. He hits hard. He's got very good hands. I love Javon Holland. Javon Holland, you've seen stretches in which he can be a top safety in the league. And he's just 24. He's just 24 years old. So I think Javon Holland can absolutely have a breakout year this year for Miami. I think that defense can also have a breakout year. You still have Jalen Ramsey at the corner. Javon Holland. There's another safety on that team. I forgot who's the other safety. Who's the other safety on that team? I have it his name is on my tongue. But Javon Holland can absolutely have a breakout year this year. He's very good sideline to sideline, as if he's a linebacker. He can play in the box as if he's a linebacker. He can go out, play coverage. This year he had, how many picks did he have? He only had one interception, but it was a pick 6 for 99 yards. So if he can stay healthy, that would be great. Again, he could really have a huge impact on that team, especially defensively. Again,
I have one more name before you end it off. I'll keep going. I just have one more name.
Okay, no, you're good. Yeah, I think Javon Holland. I love Javon Holland. I love the way he plays. I love how hard he plays. He reminds me a lot of the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. So I think he can absolutely have a breakout year and become one of the best safeties in this league, possibly a Pro Bowler, possibly an All Pro. So I love Javon Holland. And so that would be my breakout year, or my breakout player, who could have a great year. But Kev, who are you thinking?
So I'm already sticking with Gonzo. But another player that I just now realized when you brought up the safety position, who I think he's only 22 or 23, maybe 24, but he's around that age under 25 as well. Mm-hmm. Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame.
That's a great name.
I think he did have an amazing year last year. It wasn't like, a year of stats where he wows you in anything, but if you watch him from the eye test, he looks like he's everywhere on the field as well. He's 6'4". He's 6'4", 220. That's a big dude at the safety position, and the fact that he's that big, he can cover and he can also hit. So he's like a mixture of Dorian James, size wise, and he moves fast. Like I don't know, like it's hard to compare him to any other player. And I feel like especially on that defense too, being the best defense in the league, that Ravens defense, I think it's only gonna help him even become better. Him being in the backfield. I think give him maybe 2 or 3 years, he could be a top three, maybe one of the top safeties in the league, in my opinion.
So I do want to ask. So when you say breakout, do you mean like possibly make a run for Depoy? Or because last year, huh?
I think first team All Pro defense.
That's exactly what it was last year.
Oh, he was.
He was.
I think maybe not Depoy. Could be in votes for Depoy, but I don't know. I just whenever I watch him play,
he jumps
like,
off the screen.
Yeah, every single season that he plays, he just gets better and better.
Yeah, and for the Ravens to go out and get that guy is such a Raven thing to do. It's such a Baltimore Raven thing to do because they just, for whatever reason, the Ravens always just find those defensive guys who can go make plays and just are just ridiculously, freakishly built. Like you said, he's 6'4", 220 at the safety position. So he's a big dude. He's fast. He can play in the box. He can play in coverage. So that Kyle Hamilton, if he's not already, he has a chance to be a top 5 safety in this league. So because he is really, really freaking good. But Kev, before we close it out, is there anything else you had on your mind you wanted to? All right, well, that's going to close it out. That is going to close it out for today's episode. We will be back tomorrow to see if there's any new NBA free agency news. There's still guys on the market like DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry is still out there. A few other guys, I'd have to look it up, but a few other guys that are out there. But we will be back tomorrow to hopefully break some of that down. Maybe a guest or two, who knows? But that's going to close it out for today. I hope you all enjoyed, man. I probably don't say it enough, but if you're watching, please subscribe. Please. I'm still trying to build. I always forget to say it. I always see all these other YouTubers constantly telling their people to subscribe and like and do all that. But for for today, and I'll probably do it, a few weeks in the future when I remember to do it. Hit that sub button, bro. Hit the sub button, hit the like button, and it'll be hopefully it gets better. But we are out. We will hit y'all tomorrow. But for Kev, for yours truly, we out, man. Oh, hold on. I'm on the wrong screen. All right. Oh, all right, we out.